What's up, guys? I'm Isaac at Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson here in Raleigh, North Carolina with your pre-owned bike of the week, a 2021 Softail Fat Bob 114. Now these right here are awesome motorcycles, and especially in this color, this deadwood green denim color. They're all fantastic bikes, especially with 114 and on that Milwaukee 8 Softail platform. These bikes are fantastic to rip around and just tons of fun. I've never personally been able to rip one of these out on the highway before, so I'm pretty excited to be able to test this out and see how it runs. This bike is a Harley-Davidson certified pre-owned bike, so hardly anything's been done to it. It's got less than 6,000 miles on it right now, and it's pretty stock. The only real upgrades you're going to see on this bike is you've got this little fairing up here in the front, just kind of cuts through some wind, gets some wind off your chest, and you do have the extended turn signals, also a fan up, but never got to try them out yet. And then you do have this nice Mustang seat with the backrest. So we're going to give this bike a quick run around the block so that way you can see everything this bike has to offer and just why it's so cool, all for your pre-owned bike of the week. Alright, what's up, guys? So today we've got the 2021 Softail Fat Bob 114. I'm super stoked to be able to ride this bike. I've heard nothing but good things about them. So we're really going to be able to kind of take it through a couple different areas and kind of figure out what works and what doesn't on this bike and why you should be considering it as your next one. So first things that I'm super excited about, I mean, these tires, pretty much you only see them on the Fat Bobs. I've seen them on a couple other bikes and they really just make the bike look so much more aggressive. And they're not fully off-road tires, but they kind of have that adventure kind of styling, so it really just makes the bike's appearance look more aggressive. And if you are going to be on a little bit more some gravel roads, you might find they help out a little bit better than, you know, some racing slicks. So another awesome thing, you have inverted front suspension, you've got dual brakes on the front. This one has this nice little fairing on here, so it should be just enough to kind of keep the wind off our chest. It's got the 114. I got the stock pegs, stock controls. It does have that Fat Bob rear fender, and it's a little bit dirty right now, so that is one thing we just found out. I just put a bit of gas in it, make sure we don't get stranded, and I ended up going through a pretty good little puddle. And so actually with that chopped rear fender, it does allow a little bit of spray on the back, so if that's a concern of yours, that's what you got right there. It's got the turn signal brake lights on either side, a little reflector right here, license plate bracket. This does have the stock exhaust, nothing too fancy there. It does have that nice kind of kick up exhaust, so giving us that kind of more sporty kind of look. It does have the quick adjust that quick adjustment that you can make on the preload for the back. You can do right here, so you don't have to take the seat off or anything like that. Which, speaking of the seat, this does have this nice Mustang seat, so it doesn't quite fit the look of the Fat Bob, but this seat is super cozy, I will say. I mean, that, especially with the backrest, I mean, that Mustang seat, I mean, that's a seat for a long haul. It does have the gas tank right here. Only one gas cap on the right, so you're not worried about symmetry on the left with the decorative one. And then the gauge is actually an RPM, analog RPMs. So very similar to the gauge on the new Lowrider S. This one does have the extended turn signal buttons. Big fan of those. And yeah, so let's go ahead and ride this thing. So I'll go ahead and start it up right here for you. Let's see, stand it up nice and light. Alrighty. Cool. Let's see a nice little light show here. Alrighty. So as you can see, nothing too fancy here. Nothing too fancy as far as sound goes. But it does nothing too far as fancy as sound goes. It's gonna have great brakes on the front because you do have those dual rotors. Pretty excited to be trying these new extended turn signals, just so that we can kind of leave your hand more on the right side, and then you just kind of leave your hand more on the outside and just get the buttons there a little bit easier. So we can cycle through here on the clock, so we can see it's a analog tachometer, digital speedometer, and we can see our time, our RPMs, our miles on the bike. So there's less than 6,000 miles on this bike, so it's still getting broken in good. Trip A, Trip B, the fuel range, and then we're there. So then you've got your nice little fuel gauge on it as well. So lots of fun things you can do with this bike. It does have the nice little pullback risers with bars. So let's go ahead and ride this thing. And cool. Alrighty. So it does have the stock M8 kickstands, so say what you want to about those, but they work. So So, nice and smooth. Oh yeah. Say hey, just back of the road. Go ahead and signal that we are turning. So you have that 114 power. So you do feel that slightly, not bouncier ride, but a little bit not quite as smooth on the ground, just because they're not knobbies, but they are a little bit, they do have more tread on them. So you are going to feel that a little bit. But I mean, it's a motorcycle. Yeah. Righty. So let's go ahead and test that suspension. Okay. You feel it, but it's not bad. I mean, especially with that seat. It's that seat takes up a lot of it too, and the rear shock's not bad. That nice little support back there is pretty fantastic, I will say. Taking on this nice little smooth section of road. Yeah, it isn't bad at all. I knew several people that owned the Dyna Fat Bobs, and everyone said that 103 high output was just made that like a rocket ship. And I'm assuming that these 114s aren't much different. So, excellent work on the bumps. Now let's go and see how this thing does at highway speeds. Because everybody loves the byway, but you're gonna have to take some highways at some point. So do some easy cruising behind the dump truck. Not the dump truck. The truck. Let's see. Right. Hello. Wow. This thing handles highway speeds really, really well. Yeah, that's not bad at all. Wow, that fairing, I can kind of feel the line right about to the camera view. So I mean, everywhere else, I mean, it just kicks the wind off. So I mean, it's really making this ride smooth. And I mean, it's still got more. It can go. Pretty quick, pretty responsive. I'm a big fan. So it's not a bad riding position either. It's they're not really mids, but also they're not forwards again. And then that seat kind of brings a little bit forward. So they aren't, your feet aren't under you, but they are a little bit forward there. So it's a little bit hard to kind of rise up like you would on like a dual sport or something like that. So you can't really stand up on it as easy like you would on that dual sport, but it's not bad. It really puts you in a good riding position. You're kind of perched on top of the bike, so you can really manipulate this bike like you want. But not that we'd want to manipulate her, because she's a good girl. She's loyal, and so we should be nice to her back. Yeah, so everybody says these bikes are fantastic. A lot of people love them. They're cool. I mean, they look good. I've seen some of the builds people do on them. As a matter of fact, one of the bikes that was just parked outside of the dealership, will probably take a look at it on the way back. It was a 114 Fat Bob build, and they did the custom paint through the fairing, and really did some pretty nasty motor work on that. And that bike is a machine, and it looks like it. So let's see here. fancy car. I hear you. So for a while, I was actually kind of looking at these bikes like mini Pan Americas almost, you know, just because when I was looking at the tires and kind of the stance they had, this bike almost kind of gave me mini Softail Pan America vibes. So if you wanted something that could do it, this might be the one. I've seen some videos of some people doing some off-road stuff with these bikes, and I think that would be fun. Unfortunately, our the powers, my managers might not appreciate me doing some off-road testing on a nice showroom bike. But I mean, you got to give the people what they want, right? Okay, this bike will brake good. This bike will go, this bike will stop, this bike will ride. I'm pretty satisfied. The sound on this bike isn't bad too when you really get on it. And of course it's got kind of that sewing machine sound to it, but once you really kind of start putting some air through it, it'll let you know you're doing some work. This bike is good. No complaints here. Alrighty. So let's go ahead and do a nice scenic part of the trip here. Another cool thing about the Fat Bob is that headlight. So it's not too terrible of a thing to do if you aren't a fan of it, but it's pretty bright. Fortunately, it's not too dark out here, so I can't really show it off, but they're pretty bright. And it gives it a distinct look, you know. You see it and people are like, oh, that's a Fat Bob. And you're daggone right it is. So let's go ahead and see how this bike leans. So, okay. Not too bad, not too bad. Feels like you've got a lot of room to work too underneath so far as ground clearance goes. I'm satisfied. Yeah, so the Dyna Fat Bobs, they were super cool, but the styling, at least to me, wasn't really there. Like you did have the dual side-by-side headlight, and that part was okay, but the dual taillight, it's okay. I mean, it's okay to look, not really my style. To each their own on that. Yeah, it's a good riding bike. But also, like I've said before, the Milwaukee 8 Softails, I mean, they are some of the hardest bikes to beat so far as customization goes, especially right now in the performance scene. Just the motor work you can do to that Milwaukee 8, the Milwaukee 8s are already phenomenal motors, and then the work and the add-ons and things you can do to them, they really make those bikes fun. Yeah, this bike right here though, this Fat Bob, I'm really liking it. let's test these bumps. Woo. Digging it. This bike really feels like one you can ride, you know. I might have to get me some of these little turn signal extenders. And maybe this seat. This is a fun bike. Just the power here. It's a quiet power. I mean, you can hear it and know it's getting on it, but I mean, it's just, you go. No frills, but I mean, it's got that aggressive styling, and the riding you can do on this definitely backs that up. For sure. This bike does not have cruise control, so that is one downside. But that's pretty easy to fix. You can get those kits pretty easy if that's something you absolutely have to have. But definitely don't let. We'll stop. Ooh. Okay. That's good. That's good braking. We'll go ahead and do a nice little quick stop. Didn't want to really charge the light for you. So, but yeah, I mean, that's good. That's good stopping power right there. Really want to ride this bike on some dirt and see how it does. I saw some videos of some people doing that on these bikes, and they were holding up pretty well. I think the biggest issue people were having though is that, you know, it's not the most suspension travel, so you are still lacking in that department. Because this is a street bike. This isn't really an off-road rig, but you can take it on some. So if you've got a long gravel driveway and work or wherever you are just requires you to be on a lot of gravel, then you can do it. You can do it with a lot more confidence. Especially if you do a lot of camping, something like that. You like to do some motorcycle camping. You know, this would be a fun bike to take back into a campsite. I was somewhere this weekend, and you know, we rode the bikes back into the campsite, and there was quite a good bit of sand pockets. And the Milwaukee 8 Sport Glide, it can handle it, but it's not really made for it. But something like this, you know, you can probably handle that a little bit better. And the way this bike sits and runs, I mean, you could probably have a good bit of fun out there with this thing. Oh yeah, there's a good bit of clearance under here. So yeah, it might not feel quite as smooth as some of the other Softails, like the lowrider, but pretty much all that you're feeling is from the tires. You know, the other side to getting that extra grip is you're gonna feel a little bit more vibration out on the road, but it's not bad at all. It's just enough you might notice it, but it's not enough to make this bike one you don't want. And that seat handles this, or at least this Mustang seat on this one handles really cuts out a lot right there. And I've seen the stock Fat Bob seats. They look pretty good, in all honesty. And they've got a little bit of grip on them too, so that you can really kind of work with them. This one's actually got a good bit of grip on it too, if that's your thing. So let's go look at this thing. Ventilator, air cleaner, pretty snazzy. It's got the pegs are pretty short, but it puts your feet in a really nice position here. When we have been leaning, I really haven't felt like we've been getting close so far as scraping. I mean, these pegs do have the little scraper bars underneath them, but I feel like we've been getting too close to them. So I feel like you can throw this bike pretty hard in a turn and do some good work on this thing. This is just a good bike to ride. This is a good riding bike. I haven't been on many bikes where it's like, you know, this isn't really a bike for riding, but most of the ones I have, you know, it's a bike for riding, but this one is 100% a bike for riding. Oh yeah. I'm a big fan of this bike. I haven't really seen anything I didn't like. The only thing I've seen so far that I might have any kind of concern with is just the spray you might get from the rear. But I'll take that little bit of spray to have that shop fender look all day. It's a good setup. It's simple. I like the analog tachometer. It just really shows, you know, we're focused on the engine speed more so. So I mean, that's just kind of keep a better eye on it. These brakes are good. It does have ABS. I believe this one might even have. Pardon me, folks. Does it have? Oh yeah, it's got the little charger underneath the tank. So a little USB hookup. So when you've got your phone inevitably mounted to the handlebars, trying to do some navigating to your girl's house, then you can just mount it, put your little phone clamp on the bars, or the tank, whatever style is good for you, and then you can wrap your little charging cord around the bars and plug it in underneath the tank, so that way you don't have to run any sort of like trickle charger harness to USB adapter thing. Those work, but it is nice being able to just plug directly in underneath the tank and not have to worry about anything like that. The mirrors are good. I can see pretty well out of them. Pretty solid. Nice front suspension. This fairing does come off. Looks like this fairing does have a little quick release. So if you want to go ahead and feel some more of that springtime air on your chest, you certainly can. This bike is super well balanced. It's not really like a workout to bring your feet up each time. It's just a good bike. I keep looking for something I don't like about it, or something that you might have some kind of concern with, but I haven't found it yet. Hill climber action time. All right. So yeah, the tank size might be a little bit of a concern. I can't remember exactly how big it is. I want to say it's 3.5 gallons. If that's wrong, then I'll put a little pop-up right here. But pretty sure it's 3.5 gallons. We've got just over half a tank, so I'll check what the fuel range is of that a little bit later. Yeah, you can cycle through everything with this button on the left here. So let's see. Yeah, you can't see your digital RPMs, so that's good. So if you want to really fine tune your riding there, you can. big fan of this bike. So you have the RPMs, and then you got your miles on the bike, trip A, trip B. Yeah, so I go, it says I got 100 miles on the tank. Oh, this is cool. Appreciate it, sir. Appreciate it. Oh, all the grass. Excellent. Oh, nice, nice. Appreciate it, Raleigh. Appreciate it, Raleigh. Oh yeah, look at all that grass. Excellent. Let's see here. On the bright side, all the medians are nicely trimmed. Let's see, we might have to put some work in right here. Not bad at all. Yeah, I'm falling more and more in love with this bike. So let's say, all right. So say you decide to go with this bike. Can you tour with it? That's the next question. All right. So you buy this bike and super excited. You want to go take it places because that's what you should do. It is a Milwaukee 8, so putting bags on you can do. I've seen some performance builds where they actually put. They did. I mean, it was a gorgeous looking bike. But they put, actually, they painted everything on it, and it had Sport Glide bags, actually. They kind of figured out a way to get the brackets on, so that way they could rock Sport Glide bags. And so since it's got that little, it's got this pretty much the same rear fender supports, so you can find bags to put on it, and you can probably put the quick detach sissy bar hardware on it, and then put some quick detach sissy bar hardware on it, and then you can party with it. Go ahead and put a little duffel bag on the back. Harley-Davidson Overwatch bag, highly recommend. It's tempting to take that gravel, but can't go tearing stuff up today. So welcome back to Tobacco Road, Harley-Davidson. I'll show you guys that fat bob right quick. So you can see it's this beautiful orange bike right here. Yeah. It's snazzy. So yeah. This is a solid bike. One you certainly can't go wrong with on this guy. Let's see. Shut it off right here. Go ahead and see. So you got the Milwaukee 8 little kickstand there, so you just got to make sure that you really slide the bike all the way over here. Go ahead and show it to you. So I mean, yeah, I mean it's an awesome bike. I've got no complaints on this thing. This thing is just a ton of fun to go ride. I'll go ahead and show you this fat bob right over here. So yeah, like, I mean, this is probably one of the best performance builds I've seen on a fat bob, and so I mean, that's pretty. This bike right here started with that. So I mean, there's tons of fun stuff you can do with these bikes, and they are just incredible. I had to see it for myself before I could really believe it, and let me say I'm a believer now. So thank you all for watching and tagging along on our ride today, and if you want to come check out this fat bob here at Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson, be sure to do so. Be sure to click those links down the bottom, and you'll be able to see more photos of this bike and the other bikes that we do have to offer for you here at Tobacco Road Harley-Davidson. So as always, thank you for watching, and we hope to see you out here sometime soon.